this is the last bun tutorial you'll ever need, and I'm recording this intro at the end of the day, so you can tell that it definitely lasts all day, and it's foolproof messy bun, no matter how dirty or clean your hair is. So before we get into it, let's go over what you need. You'll need hairspray, a brush, a comb, bobby pins, and 2 hair ties, preferably in 2 different colors. Okay.
Okay guys, so first we're just gonna part our hair straight down the middle. If you wanted to, you could probably do a side part with this too, but I part down the middle all the time. Also, if you don't have a curler, pause, go do some heatless overnight curls and come back. And that should do it. I've done that once or twice, but it doesn't turn out quite as good as the curler, I think. But I also curl my hair a lot, so I'm a little biased. This will work even if you have clean hair, which I think is really cool. And we're just gonna brush our hair out. Mine's really dirty. Please excuse it. Um, but just make sure there's no knots because they will show up. Not in your bun, but when you take it down. So we're just gonna section our hair. You're gonna go from the top of your head to like the top of your ears and section that part out. You can bring it in front of you. If you're having trouble with that part of your hair sticking together, you can always clip it in the front. Also, ignore my camera falling every 5 seconds. So you're going to take that back big section where most of your hair is, and you're going to start trying to get it up in a ponytail while keeping that kind of clean line, separating your 3 sections. And you just want it in a ponytail. It can be lower if you want a lower bun or higher if you want a higher bun. It's up to you. I do mine pretty high, but low enough that I can still put headphones on. But it's totally up to you. I like to get this part of the bun as smooth as possible. So go in with your comb, really smooth this part out. Also, I'm gonna do all of this in, except maybe the curling part at the end because that takes forever, in real time, so that you guys can completely follow along and shouldn't have to pause quite as much. Yeah, we're just gonna put that ponytail. The reason that you want 2 different hair ties is because the bun that you're about to do next, I've only had it get tangled up 1 time out of all the times I do this bun. I do it like once a week. But if the 2 hair ties get tangled up, it's so much easier to separate them if they're 2 different colors. If they're both one color, it can be really hard to get out of your hair. And my camera fell again. This should be the last time though. I think I fixed it after this. So yeah, just make sure it's smoothed out. You can put some hairspray at this step of the process, so that it's really smooth and shiny and everything after adheres. And then you're just gonna twist your hair around, twist it around itself, and make your normal queen bun. Um, this is just gonna serve as the base. Once you've made it, I actually made mine twice because I didn't like the way it looked. But you can make it, you can pen it, do all the things you would normally do for a queen bun, and oh, there was something else I was gonna remind you guys about this part. If I remember it, I'll come back in and edit it in the future, on a screen again. Yeah, oh yeah, this is me redoing it because it looked really bad. Oh, the thing is that you're gonna floof it out a little too. So I only floof mine out a little bit because I have a lot of hair. It's really thick and long, so I don't floof it a ton. But if you want a bigger bun, just floof this base bun and that'll really give it volume. Um, the messy effect is gonna come from all those little side pieces that you sectioned out earlier. And this one is going to make sure that your messy bun stays secure all day long and doesn't fall apart because it's not actually messy, it's just kind of the illusion, which is also why it's more like foolproof than other methods that are like, well, maybe. So we're going to take those sections that we made in the front and we're just going to further section them. So get a tiny piece, slick it back sort of, like not with hairspray yet, but just like fingers or a comb, and then to your head, and then wrap it around that base bun and pin it with, this is the important part, you want to make sure that you've left, because I swear I can talk. You want to make sure you've left some out because these are the pieces we're going to curl, and this is what gives it that kind of messy effect. These subsections of your two front sections can be as small or as large as you want, depending on how many pieces you want. But also make sure that when you're doing this, you don't have to, but I really like to leave a little piece right in front of my ear. I actually leave a bigger piece than I need, and I'll show you guys why later. But just make sure that if you want a piece out, you leave it out now because it'll be really hard to pull out later. So another reason that I really like this kind of bun is you're not making a bun and then pulling pieces out after the fact, which is part of why it's not lasting as long. This you're just adding and adding and adding, and all these extra pins secure your bun a little more too. If you have bangs like I do, this will still work for you. You're just gonna pin the bangs at the end. And my camera fell again. Okay, I think this is the last time for real. I do a lot of sections. Actually, I'm realizing as I'm watching this back, but it gives it so much definition the more little pieces you have hanging out. And also, I like to make sure that my pieces are kind of spread out. Like I want at least two in the back, two on each side. Sometimes I get one in the back, but just make sure that all those wraparound pieces haven't all ended up on one side or the other, so it doesn't look kind of floppy. And then this is what I'm talking about with the bangs, where you just take your big bang section, pin it back as far back as you can. Mine actually are the lengths that they go almost to the bun, and then this part you'll just hairspray extra or gel if that's your thing. I also leave a really small section of my bang out for this, kind of like you would like a side earpiece. I feel like there has to be a name or a better descriptor for that little bit between like your cheekbone and your ear of hair that you leave out in hairstyles. It's really cute. And I just feel like earpiece cannot be the best way to describe that, but it's what I'm gonna roll with. So yeah, just keep pinning until you're happy with how much is out. And then all these little extra pieces you're gonna sit and curl. I skipped forward a little bit of the front curling pieces because I had a really hard time with the front ones, and it took me like an extra 10 minutes. And sometimes your hair just doesn't want to behave, and sometimes it does, and that's okay. And even if you've done the hairstyle a million times, some days it's just not gonna land, and you just go with it. Yeah. Curling all these pieces, I use a curling iron, but like I mentioned before, you could totally use heatless curls the night before if you have naturally curly hair. Feel free to skip this step because you're there already. This is definitely the most time-consuming part of the process, and I'm probably gonna have to speed this up for you guys. But also, tip for the front pieces is sometimes if you rotate your curling iron, like don't have it just side to side or just straight up and down because it makes those front pieces go really wacky. So if you actually can twist it around a little while it's curling, it helps it be more moldable in the end and less of that like creased, I'm gonna stick out the side of your head like this random horn. Because nobody wants that. The ones in the back are also kind of hard to curl, so those for me end up being left as longer pieces so that I curl less at the base of what's left and more at the end. And if you have a friend or someone to help you with this piece, I would definitely recommend it just for the back piece. But it's not too bad as far as curling your hair goes. And then the two little bitty bang pieces, I actually don't curl. Those are the only ones that I leave straight because they're a little too short to curl right, and those tend to be really difficult to get to like set just right. Like will end up in the most wacky Cindy Lou Who kind of thing ever. Okay, so we're gonna go back to those side earpieces. And because I left more than I needed, I'm gonna section that in half and take the top half and pin it back on the side of my head. This is intentional because it creates a little more volume, a little more mass in that like good kind of it girl structured but messy way, right? And it keeps the rest of your head kind of looking incorporated into the bun while still being slick back and secure. And I just really like having a little extra curl on each side, but you definitely don't have to do that step. Um, I don't know, I just think it kind of makes it at the end, and I don't really know how to describe it. Also, I think I've lost bobby pins at this point. That's what I'm searching for. Also, if you have any of those mini bobby pins, like they're the regular size bobby pins that I think most people own, and then they also sell mini bobby pins that are like half the length, and I really love them. So if you end up buying more, buy some of those because if you have bangs or like tiny pieces like this, it's perfect. Okay, so you should be all done at this point. Just go ahead and spray, especially if you have bangs, spray the edges, the curls, the bond, all of it. Gel it back if you want. I like to take a comb over the top section of my head and just make sure it's nice and slick back and there aren't any weird lumps that have arisen during the curling because for some reason from making your base bond to this, there's always like a random bump that seems to pop up. And I'm really not sure why. But it happens. So, check for that. Make sure everything's tight and all your bobby pins are have some extra security on them. And yeah, you can add, now is also the time that you can add fun hair clips, star clips. I didn't have any with me today, but add a little bow, whatever you want. You can dress it up as much as you want. And you should be done. This is what it looks like from the back and the sides.